Good morning, breakfast and BodySlams fans out there. Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 4, and today we will be talking about managers. But as you notice, if you're watching here, you see I'm not with the usual suspects today. Well, I'm your host, Chio. Let's go around the table real quick and let everyone introduce themselves. You are killing me. That was a great sound drop. But I got no mic. No, nobody. I can hear me.
Hear us? There we go. There we go. Shout out to Bob with the quick hands, man. Let's bring this back and let's rewind it. With the tear my eye. This is the greatest day of my life. I am one of the owner of Crack Bell Productions. My name is Moss Mother Money. That was for you, Pat.
He's the boss, Moss.
Pleasure to be here. My name is Mark Lindsay. If you guys have YouTube, which I think you have the YouTube machine everywhere, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Got Mark 76, GOTMERK 76. I am your WWE 2K fantasy warfare guy, live and in living color. It's an honor to be here, guys.
Nice.
And I am the infamous Cheesesteak Chuckie. Most people know me as a Ben Simmons hater, but I am Cheesesteak Chuckie, and you catch me regularly, sometimes on the programs on Sundays. But today I'm happy to join you guys and talk about some old school wrestling.
This is great. This is phenomenal. This is the first time I got to meet both of you personally. I don't know. We probably met before, maybe with Pat. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. Nate.
I'm always around, buddy.
I know. I can't. There's nothing I can say. I love this guy. He's a great technician out there. When just chiming in with his 2 cents and
trying, man. It's good to be on the other side.
Trying to make us work harder on this side.
Yes, absolutely.
Just want to give a quick shout out, cheap plug to everyone. Crack Bell Productions. If you're not watching them, you're not living. You can watch them live on CB Pro Live, as well as some of the others of Devereaux Sports podcasters. You can check out The Gobbler Inc. every other Sunday at 9 a.m., as well as Sullivan Squad every other Sunday at 9 a.m., so they can flip-flop back and forth. And you're watching us today, and we're here only once a month, so you got to be very careful which Saturday you tune in at 10 a.m. And last but not least, Devereaux Sports Plus, once a month, Mondays at 6 p.m. And I'm sure we got a bunch of other podcasts out there that come in studio and do their thing as well.
Yeah, we do. Hey, Bob, drop that. Let's get into wrestling, man. I'm here for a wrestling show. I had to dig deep for my shirt. I only got one wrestling shirt, and my son has a Randy Orton Legend Killer shirt. Oh. You know what I mean? And he's bad at school, so we can't let him wear it in school because it say Killer on it.
Oh, man.
Right. So I got my Ric Flair shirt, man. So I'm ready to get into some wrestling, man.
What's up?
Yeah, man.
The only one who ain't wearing blue today is Chuck over here. But you know what? No judgment there because he is wearing home team right there. So that's a big up. Maybe we should change the blue, add a little yellow, and it becomes green, and we're all good.
Yes.
I like how you did that.
I know, me too. It just flowed right in there by accident.
I know.
I wasn't even trying. Of course, that's how I got my kids. But anyway, by accident. Before we kick everything off, though, we had a loss in the professional wrestling world. As everyone knows, the man known as New Jack, a.k.a. Jerome Young, passed away on May 14th at the age of 58. He died of a heart attack in the afternoon in his home. Now, Jerome or New Jack, however you knew him, you know, he trained by Ray Candy. He debuted in 1992 for the USWA, which was by Jerry the King Lawler and a bunch of other people. He had other
Jerry Jarrett
partners involved.
Yeah, Jerry Jarrett. Yep.
But yeah, he had his tenure. Like I said, we're not gonna try to do a long show all about New Jack. We're just trying to just give him a little tribute here because we have a whole bunch of other stuff to talk about. Like I said, he crossed over to Smoky Mountain where the legendary Jim Cornette seen something special with him and Mustafa and the Gangsters, and that's where they blew up. Paul Heyman caught his eye and brought him in, and we all know from 95 to 2001, the Gangsters were killing it. What are some of your fond memories of the New Jack era in ECW? Let's go around the table, Nate.
So that's what I didn't know he was. So I know who Jim Cornette is. I've heard him talk about Smoky Mountain. I didn't watch that wrestling. That was a little bit before my time when I actually started watching wrestling. But I do remember him in New Jack. And the one thing that always stuck about me about New Jack is that his on-screen persona was that he was the craziest MFer running around. And I just remember all his matches were just bloody. And I remember never seeing that before. Like I actually have still my old backyard school DVDs, you know, that had the kind of on the front of them, they weren't like really like done well. It looked like somebody took a picture and blew it up on the DVD. And I remember he was in a couple of those. And so you know, for me personally, it's a shame he never could cross that mainstream just because of his style. But I just remember him jumping off the top of bleachers onto people, like 2 or 3 people on a table, you know, that's on, you know, we're not talking about padded mats or padded floors. We're talking about hard concrete floor. One of the toughest wrestlers I've ever seen.
Okay. Let's jump on this side. Mark?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to go into a little bit more of what he did for wrestling. You know, I went to the very first ECW TV taping in 1993 at Cabrini College, where they could barely sell out a 200-seat gymnasium. 93, 94 ECW was probably some of the best wrestling I've seen live as a fan. But when New Jack came in 95 with Mustafa as the Gangsters, you know, you had Shane Douglas leave, go to the Fed. You had Benoit, Guerrero, Malenko. They were wrestlers who really solidified the wrestling of ECW, and they all went to WCW. So then you had New Jack and Mustafa come in, and they put the extreme in ECW. So my fond memory of New Jack is that he revolutionized ECW to be more extreme, and that's a great compliment. You know, ECW was known for wrestling. They were known for hardcore, but he really changed the fabric of hardcore.
Definitely.
Yeah, I always used to enjoy the hardcore, then chant ECW, and man, he, like Nate was saying, the guy was fearless. He wasn't afraid to take chair shots, jump on floors. It kind of reminds me of when Pat and I used to go and some of the guys used to do backyard wrestling down in the park. We did basically anything. And that's ECW was, like I said, New Jack was one of those guys that helped revolutionize, made ECW what it was, or ultimately became.
What a lot of people don't realize is that New Jack can actually really wrestle.
Yes, he can.
He can really go if he wanted to, but with his style of what the fans wanted, he was giving them something different, and that's what it was. He didn't want to give everyone the same old things. And when Jim Cornette brought him in back in Smoky Mountain, and he wanted them to be controversial because controversy builds
absolutely
cash. Exactly. Yeah, it's a cash cow right there. And some of the things that I loved is about, like, he's the only wrestler that I known whose intro music will play throughout the entire match, maybe 2, 3, 4 times, and the crowd was so into it. They knew the words, just like with Enter the Sandman when he came out.
Yeah,
pretty much ECW locker room and their music, the fans were on point with each and every one of them. But Jack was the only one who played throughout the entire match, regardless how long. They just repeat.
I'm glad you brought up the music, because as a white kid who grew up in the I grew up in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I never heard of Natural Born Killers before, but I guarantee you that in 95 and 96, I'm in high school going, yeah.
Yes.
You know what? Because of music in the wrestling industry is pretty much how I really got into a lot of like rock and metal and this and that. Other than that, I was straight like hip hop and all that. But then, once you start seeing all these stars who you're watching and you see, oh, okay, boom, and you feeling the beat. It's like the beat, like, okay, all right. And it's that thing.
It's contagious. It's contagious.
And that's what it was about Jack. And when you see him in the ring doing his thing, he's bobbing. He got the guitar before he smashes someone over the head, everything. He's going with the flow. He was an artist. He was a performer. He was giving them a performance like any artist on stage would in a concert. And that's what it is. He brought the pain, and that's what he did.
Completely agree.
People got their money's worth.
When you say Smoky Mountain, is that like Freebird? Is that like back in that day? Like, who was at Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
So
that would be a name.
Oh God, the Rock and Roll Express. They had a big feud with the Rock and Roll Express back in the day. That was 95 over the tag titles. Chris Candido was there for a while. Dr. Tom Pritchard, Brian Lee. Yeah. So
there was a whole host of wrestlers. Even Kane
Unabomber. He was there as Unabomber. Him and Al Snow were the tag team champions. So Smoky Mountain, and then at that time, USWA, Smoky Mountain, they were kind of the development for WBF at the time. So a lot of the talent that they were raising and going to bring to the big roster went to Smoky Mountain. But,
as soon as you said Rock and Roll Express, I knew exactly who you're talking about.
Arn Anderson was one of them too, right?
Who?
Arn Anderson was.
He was in Smoky Mountain for a short period of time. Him and Bobby Eaton brought the WCW feud over to Smoky Mountain. Yeah, it was fun.
Now that you mentioned the WCW, I got a question. Does anyone here think New Jack or the Gangsters themselves would have signed with WCW or WWE at any point?
No,
because Public Enemy went, right? Public Enemy was there, and they were successful for about a day. And then their size kind of just showed when they wrestled the Steiners, when they wrestled the Nasty Boys, when they wrestled Harlem Heat. You're talking about PC. You're talking about a company with Bischoff that was on their flagship station. That would have been too much, and the rights to censor, so forth. That would have been
it would have never worked on.
No, it would have been watered down.
But well, that's what Public Enemy was. They were watered down gangsters.
Yeah, but
because
they never sell out.
Yeah, they never got over though. To me, they came out and they tried, and it just didn't catch. It just didn't catch.
Even in ECW, it was the same thing. Like they were the funny, fake gangsters. It is what it is. And then you got New Jack Mustafa coming out here just straight MF and this and that, and which everybody did. But they put it more into a racial term, especially New Jack when he cut that one promo when he said about O.J. Simpson. It was in Smoky Mountain about how he got away with it. He was giving, he's basically giving OJ the thumbs up and stuff. So really controversial stuff. But as far as WCW goes, Mustafa, before he started teaming up with New Jack, he was actually one of those enhancement talents down there doing jobs and stuff. So he was on the WCW radar. He actually did some stuff down there. So I think if he didn't go to ECW with New Jack, maybe he probably would have got signed and maybe pushed a little bit.
Maybe as a wrestler,
time. But since he crossed over with Jack, it just totally shut him down. Oh man, boy, that New Jack just takes a lot out of us, don't he?
You started as we're not going to talk a lot about New Jack. But as I explained before, though, a lot of times we do get off track on here, but of course,
but we rein it back in, though.
Absolutely,
what we have to do, and it's a freestyle podcast. I don't know if anyone else uses that term out there, freestyling it, but that's what we're doing here. I just want to say, could we just give
a moment of silence?
Yeah, like a 10-second moment of silence for Jack. Bless you, Jack. One final note though on him. If you go over to ProWrestlingTees.com, they actually have micro buddies that they are selling, or micro brawlers, and it ends May 24th at 1 p.m. All profits, proceeds, whatever, will go to his wife Jennifer. They do have 3 shirts available of New Jack on there, and one of them just happens to be a tribute shirt. So head over to Pro Wrestling Tees, pick up a brawler, some t-shirts, show your support, show the love towards Jack, and may he rest in peace. All right, now we're gonna segue to something that's a little bit less extreme, and that's into the WWE WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view they had. Oh,
Sorry.
You okay
Sorry.
there?
I was falling asleep with it when he mentioned WWE Backlash. I'm sorry.
My bad.
Yeah,
Oh, look
you
at that. Cool. The light popped up on my phone.
We sound good.
Yeah, I
we do.
know. I must have hit it with my.
Must be that crack bell engineer back there.
All right. What's going to happen is I'm going to run down the results real quick.
All
We
right.
can pick through whichever
be.
one we want to talk about, and we'll just go off of that like that, because I'm sure we're not going to get to every one of them. Pre-show, you had the champion Sheamus defend his title against Ricochet, and he walked out victorious once again.
Second best match of the night. Second best match of the night was on the pregame show.
They don't know what
They
to
said
do with
Cesaro
Ricochet.
And
No.
Roman Reigns was the best,
Well, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
They don't. They just going. Just a little comment on that. They don't know what to do with Ricochet.
No.
No, they're
No.
That's
they're
true.
trying. They're
Yeah.
flip flopping right now. They're coin tossing.
Yeah.
But let me finish the rest of this, and then we'll just
No,
kill it. We'll go through.
Okay. Cool.
Um,
Got it.
For the Raw Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley, the champ, beat Asuka and Charlotte Flair. The SmackDown Tag Team Champions Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode lost their titles to the first ever WWE tag team of father and son, Rey and Dominic Mysterio. Okay, I see. Some
Sorry.
head shaking.
Sorry.
We'll get back to that then. Okay. In a weird lumberjack match with zombies involved, Damian Priest beat The Miz. SmackDown Women's Champion Bianca Belair beat Bayley. In a triple threat for the WWE Championship, Bobby Lashley, the champ, defeated Braun Strowman
That's my guy, man.
and
That's my guy, man. Let him run.
and Drew
Let him run.
McIntyre.
Let him run.
And in the main event for the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns beat Cesaro by submission. Now, any of those matches you want to touch on?
We could talk about all of them.
Okay.
Real quick.
I see you guys shaking your heads at the tag team title match with the Mysterios.
Yeah.
It wasn't the match, it was the booking, right? I mean,
Like for me, I get it, right? You're giving Ray his flowers. And to me, like you give, because we all know Ray's not going to be a top guy anymore. You know, Ray's a worker at this point right now. Obviously a living legend, probably the greatest luchador ever to lace him up. Greatest wrestler, probably under 5'10", you know, and if that's a dream to be able to be with your son and wrestle with your kid, win the belts, like that's a dream for Ray. So I see that as them giving him their flowers, but I'm a Rude fan. Like I'm a Rude
Oh
fan.
yes, I am definitely.
You know what I mean? I'm a Rude fan. Everywhere he's gone, he's been a constant pro. Everywhere he's going, he's been successful. And the glorious thing was kind of working, but then I guess it lost steam, and then he kind of disappeared. Then he came back, and I don't know what that gap was, but then he came back with Ziggler, and I think that Dirty Dogs thing, I think it's a play off something else, right?
I'm not sure, but I'm not big on Ziggler myself.
You're not big on Ziggler?
No, I'm not really big on Ziggler. I think if they could have did anything with Rude to keep him going strong, me honestly, this is just my point of view. They could have threw him with Paul Heyman as well, and Paul Heyman could have started the New Dangerous Alliance.
He's a main eventer to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would, down to a degree, I always like see him do his dad's old get. Remember his dad ravishing Rick Rude's?
Actually, Bobby Roode, that's not his dad.
Oh, I thought it was his dad.
No, that's not his dad.
No, that's a totally different Rude.
Yeah.
I thought they could do the Rude thing, like
Oh,
ravishing Rick Rude.
They tried
could've.
to with the Glorious. He came out in the robe.
But remember Rick Rude used to always take the shirt off and say, do that thing before he would start the match.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
you fat, out of
Yeah.
shape.
Yeah.
That's something like that would
Yeah,
work.
He's not a ladies' man like
there's
that,
a lot
though.
of characters out there that mimic others that's similar. Look at Dolph Ziggler. He's like the offspring of Shawn Michaels and Billy Gunn.
yeah.
No lie.
Yeah, no, he is.
Yeah.
No, he is.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna,
true.
I'm
You're
gonna
right.
make one statement. We'll short and sweet. We can move on to the next match.
Yeah.
Nicholas is no longer the least talented tag team champion. That now goes to Dominic, because Dominic will have those world tag titles longer than Nicholas and Braun Strowman did. And
Definitely.
I am just not a fan of. Look, I know the kid tries. I'm just not. He's not there yet. And to me, yes, it was a great moment to have Ray and Dominic as tag team champions.
Right.
But if they're champions more than the next couple of weeks, it's just it's too much.
I think WWE just wanted to put that check mark on their list of having a father and son
Sure.
tag team champions.
Yeah.
It was a
Which-
great moment,
yeah,
but
Which
it can't
they
be
are not the
long-lasting.
first. Which they are not the first. Maybe in WWE, but they're not the first. On the Indies, you got Luke Hawks and his son.
Hey, listen, don't forget.
They've been killing it.
Everyone mentions how great the Attitude Era was. We had Marcus Bagwell and Judy Bagwell as a tag team champions. Okay,
Okay, mother and son. One of the other ones is that you chuckled about was the lumberjack match with the zombies.
Next,
Okay, we're
I
gonna.
mean,
It was. I see. I didn't get a chance to watch it all. I saw some of the highlights. I don't like Priest. I don't know what they're doing. Like, I'm not a fan of Priest. I'm a fan of the Miz, though. I'm a big fan of the Miz, and I think he can put other guys over, and he's doing that. But I'm not a fan of Priest. I don't. He doesn't do anything special for me.
I like him as a worker and stuff like that. He can go
Mhm.
out there and perform, but you're right. He doesn't catch my eye
No,
for something
yeah.
particular. But he has the size, he has the talent. He's obviously bilingual, so he can speak to both anybody pretty much in the universe there.
Yeah. And they're giving him a push, and I just don't
Yeah.
get it. I
Well,
don't
the
get it.
push was it mainly happened with the whole Bad Bunny thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, from WrestleMania, now they're still continuing the feud with Miz, and then he's getting over on Miz over and over again, and it's just like, what do you want? You beat Miz a couple times now. You beat him on the biggest stage of them all. Now where do you go? Where's he going?
where's the Miz go? He's out with the torn LCS or something, or MCL.
Oh, did he get
MCL?
hurt?
Yeah, he got hurt in that match.
Oh, it's the first
So
time
he's
he got
going
hurt.
to be out for several months.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
I'm not and the Priest thing is like that, and the Fiend. I didn't get that. Like, the Fiend is okay.
The Fiend was pretty good.
Yeah, but it didn't do nothing for me.
No.
I don't know. I didn't like
But now
that
they got the
character
Alexa
for Bray
Bliss thing
Wyatt.
going on too. They're like,
It was. I think it was. You don't have those characters anymore. Like, those kind of, when you watch wrestling, like, I don't feel like you have those type of dark characters anymore.
well, the thing is right now though, with the characters that they are giving us
Mhm.
between like you said, the Fiend, Priest, whoever does a dark evil type
Yeah, like
character.
Aleister Black is.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. Whoever's doing all those kind of dark, like even Corey and Cross, if they're dark and stuff like that, right now they are shoving them down our throat.
Yeah,
Those characters back then were rare. You had Undertaker, you didn't have Kane,
Papa
but you had
Shango.
Undertaker. Yeah, Papa Shango, exactly. That's known. It was only like two of them, and then before them, you had Kamala. He wasn't evil, but
They were scared. People were scared. People
Yes,
were scared
yes,
of Kamala
yes,
for
Right.
sure.
scary.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's move on to your man for the triple threat championship match, Bobby Lashley.
Yeah. I love. So I know that him and Drew had an amazing match on the Indies. I think, if I'm not mistaken, before that. So the pairing of them two, they work well together. They work stiff, and I think it works for their size. Putting Strowman in there makes it even better because it gives that Lashley that I'm just stronger than everybody feel.
Because Braun is just as big as them, but if anything,
He's bigger.
He's bulky
Yeah.
and stocky.
Yeah.
That's what stands out, though. He's strong, just like them. It's just the way he's put together. It makes
Yeah.
him look like a monster. Totally.
I love Lashley getting this run.
So do I, and it's a perfect
Yeah.
timing because
Yeah.
look, there's no fans. You have the Thunderdome. Last year when Drew had his big moment, it wasn't in front of fans. It was in front of TVs. And now Lashley finally is getting a chance to run as champion. So I'm hoping that when they bring fans back in July, that they lead to a big SummerSlam match. And whether you pull the trigger and have Drew regain it, or you have Lashley win the first match and then have Drew win the rematch, we all know it's going back to Drew. And they're kind of waiting for the fans to come back. But I think Lashley's making the most of this. And MVP is the MVP. I mean, MVP's career has resurrected. I wish they didn't break up the Hurt Business. I think that would have been great to be together.
Yeah. One thing going on for what you're saying about the fans coming back and the pay-per-views and stuff is that WrestleMania, that opened the door for the fans to come back. I don't mind seeing them having just the screens on these smaller pay-per-views. Just like back when we were kids, our four main pay-per-views were Mania, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. So if they just brought fans back for those four and kept the rest just screens, it gives them wanting to be there live.
Yeah,
it'll give them that they want to be there.
But don't do the AEW indie talent at ringside chanting "This is awesome" because that has to stop.
No, not at all. Yeah, because they literally cut all that stuff out. They have their own audio to pump in there.
Like, we can talk about that later.
Like I see stuff that looks like crap, and then you're like, hey, I'm like, why they got cheering? Well, it's just for the program. Did you see Bobby Lashley walking out, winning that like from the door, or at what point did you know he was going to win?
Yeah, I know they won't. To me, so they've gotten a little bit better with not being predictable, but they typically don't change belts at those kind of those shows. It'll be at a big show. It'll be at the big four, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble. So I think they've done a better job of that not being so predictable. But I knew he was he's on fire right now. Like him and Roman are at that same kind of level of just they're killing it with the heel.
Yeah,
and Lashley's not even just a heel; he's just beating people up,
especially with the arrogant promos that they're putting out.
Right,
and they
I think it's him,
and I
think that's just him,
and they both got a good mouthpiece on the side of them.
Absolutely,
with Heyman and MVP.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to talk, they step in and and they preach. They preach to the choir. And
just like Mark said, they need to let MVP kind of flirt around with other talent. And see if he has that same effect on other talent.
We'll get back to them two managers in our segment.
Yes, sir.
Then, how about you guys? You guys thought Lashley was going to walk away, or did you see something else?
Yeah, I agree that there's no way I saw Lashley losing on a B show. Save it for the big time, big live, big fans. I do want to see Lashley continue this dominance, though. It was nice.
Me too. I do too, and I think you're right. I think they will end up bringing the belt back to Drew, but not right now.
The part in the for me in the beginning, it was a toss up. It was a coin flip for me. The part in the match that stood out to me, where I knew Lashley was going over, is when he was taken up to the ramp and then he disappeared. Like it was like, okay, the rest of the match was Braun and McIntyre, and then later on Lashley came back. That's when I knew, okay, Lashley's going over. It's going to look like he's catching a breather. He's getting his second win. He's come back, blah, blah, blah. All right, now on to the Universal Champion, the big dog, Roman Reigns, beating Cesaro by a submission. Gentlemen.
Cut, copy, paste everything I just said about Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre and insert it with Cesaro. I think this is Cesaro's time. The fact that he lost the first match is not a big deal. I think he is now in the fans' eyes as a true main eventer, and you need to pull that plug, or that trigger, I should say, at some point where Cesaro needs to win the world title. It did not have to be at a B show.
I think if they're gonna push Cesaro the way they are, which is great what they're doing, they need to toy with it constantly, the idea a lot longer. And if they're gonna put the title on Cesaro, it should be at SummerSlam. That's where I say it's gonna be. Like you said, it had to be one of the big ones. But for Cesaro, he shows everyone that he can go.
He's only been doing it for 10 years. I mean, it's not like
Yeah.
He like we mentioned. I'm sure you remember on the last show, I believe it was. We mentioned that Cesaro is our era's Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah, I know you're saying that.
He's that ethnic guy who can relate to everybody, and he's that workhorse, and that's what Bruno was.
But his push is similar to Daniel Bryan from 2014.
Yeah.
It's organic. It's not like it's being forced down our throats. The fans and the viewers, the ratings,
the true fans of Cesaro remember him back on the Indies as
Claudio.
Claudio. Yeah,
Claudio Castagnoli,
exactly.
yeah.
And they can get behind that, and then hopefully the other universe fans who are not big on the Indies, who just follow WWE, hope they can jump on our coattails and have that full support.
Yeah. And he's done really well for himself on his promos too. There was a time when he wasn't great on the mic, but he's gotten a lot better.
Honestly, I didn't think Reigns was going to go over as by a submission like that. I thought it would be by hook or crook with the Usos.
Was it Jimmy that returned, or was it Jay that returned?
They both returned.
No.
Jimmy returned.
Jimmy returned. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I thought they were really kind of teasing that Jimmy was going to side with Cesaro. And I think the head of the table whole angle with that, which has been the best storyline in the WWE all year.
And that's why I kind of disagree with you. I don't think they should drop it to Cesaro. I think Roman should keep running. The way he's going right now, I did like outside of maybe Lashley and maybe Lesnar coming back. I don't think there's really nobody who can touch him. Maybe you can do a little Fiend thing, but I think I agree. I agree with you 100%, except for the fact that I don't think Roman needs the title. I think he is in that up. I think he's like in Cena territory, where Cena didn't need the world title. He was champion, but he didn't need it. I don't think Roman Reigns. He is the best heel right now in the WWE.
Honestly, I think they should drop it to Cesaro because for this fact, remember when they just did their promos with Reigns, where Jimmy was like, "What you afraid of? Like, you gonna lose your title to Cesaro and us win the tag team titles, and then we'll be the head of the tables."
Right, yeah.
I think that's a route to go. Have them win the tag titles. He loses his. He's pissed off because it's making him look like shit. But then yet he comes back maybe later on, takes the title back. Hey, now they're all in good standings together. Yeah. Everybody got titles. Insert more Samoans.
We're not selling it on the idea. So
make up more titles.
Because to me, when I see Cesaro's body's work, we already know what he can do in the ring. That's not even a question. Like you said, his promotions are getting better. His opening, his character, I think needs work. He's just missing it. Like, that's what I see in him. I understand that he's put the time in. I understand it would be not a bad timing for him to get a nice little run and put that check mark, across. But he's just missing it. Like Daniel Bryan was different because Daniel Bryan had it. Right. Cesaro is missing whatever it is. He's missing.
Did you notice how many times he be killing it with tag teams, and then they
drop?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's
Tyson Kidd, Sheamus.
Yep.
His run with Sheamus was great, and you saw him shine with Sheamus. I don't see that same shine right now. Like when he gets in the ring, he shines. He can wrestle with anybody and everybody. Doesn't matter, big, small. Like that's great to have. But like I said, man, the Kingston runs, the Daniel Bryan runs, those kind of underdog runs, those grinder runs, those guys that have been from independent that have been working. They had something. They had it. They just caught fire. It's trying to happen organically, like you said. I don't think it's picking up enough steam like those other guys did.
Well, so then you hold off. You hold off till like November. Survivor Series, use this summer because no one's going to watch in the summer anyway, especially with COVID restrictions happening. I know that I'm not going to be in front of my TV when I could be out, at a party. Definitely. So I think they use the summer to really build him up, and maybe in November
they need you know what they need for him? They need a Drew moment. When Drew knocked out Lesnar, you knew he was going to win. He was going to win the Royal Rumble. He needs that type of moment. He needs a moment with the crowd. He needs a moment when everybody goes nuts for something he did. That's what he's missing. If they can find a way to do that for him, so like winning the belt, I don't think we'll do it. But if they can find, like even when
signature moment,
but even when like Kingston, when Kingston had to go through that gauntlet,
right?
they need a moment for him to really put him over. And then I think you can give him the belt. But until they do, then
they're actually in position to do something like that because Seth Rollins came back, had the word with Roman during, was it post match or was it on Raw? I'm sorry,
I can't remember.
Well, Seth Rollins and Cesaro have that issue.
Seth with the drip.
Yes. So they could actually go back to Rollins and Cesaro, and the fans have already seen. Okay, Cesaro's close, but he's not there. Maybe like you said. And maybe have him win the Rumble. Maybe you pull the trigger there. You have that moment. Enter like number 10 and go through 20 other guys and win that Rumble. And then that's the moment.
Yeah, I think he needs something like that. And once you see Seth, and I think I saw Seth getting a picture with Roman, and I loved it. I loved it. Like Cesaro just went this way. Like you put Seth back in that picture. Oh my God, loved it. I loved it. I would love for them to run that back, especially where they are now as characters.
Yeah,
that would be gold to me. Be gold.
All right, gentlemen, it's that time. We get into our feature of the show, and we talk about pro wrestling managers in history. We're going to start with our Mount Rushmore. Who's on your Mount Rushmore?
I think on everybody's Mount Rushmore, and we'll just put it in the bucket right here, as Heenan. Like I think everybody has Heenan, on there. He's the greatest manager ever. So I think we can just etch him in right now as Heenan.
Let's just run through the list of everybody real quick. Then we'll come back. We're all going to talk about Heenan. We're all going to
all right. So, man, how many's on? Was it 5 or 4?
Go four.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously Heenan. For me, Fuji. I was a big Fuji fan. Who was the other one that I liked? And for me, just being because you never really saw, you were in Junkyard Dog and stuff like that. But the first black manager I saw was Slick. And he came in the ring.
Jive Soul Bro, the best theme song in the history of wrestling.
Slick was my man. He had the Jif hat. He had the Jerry curl back in the day. He came in, started jamming with Akeem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being a black man and just seeing that as a black kid watching, I always went to Slick. And who was in Paul Heyman?
Paul Heyman. All right, let's jump over to Chuck.
I like Paul Bearer, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Like you said, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Captain. I always remember Captain Lou Albano.
Manager of Champions.
Yes.
So
Mark.
Heenan, we have already established Heenan. Cornette, I would say Heyman. And I'm gonna, I'm gonna throw somebody up there who doesn't really get the credit that they deserve, and that's Sherry Martel.
Ooh, that's a nice one right there. Yeah, She's been around with a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Shane Douglas in ECW, Ric Flair in WCW, Harlem Heat, which really got Harlem Heat to the next level.
Definitely.
So and then Shawn Michaels,
and Macho Man.
So
Macho Man,
you just convinced me. Take Fuji out. I'm putting Sherry.
That's why I'm here, man.
Yeah, I'm putting Sherry there. I thought when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about she popped in my head, and I was like, is it really? Like, because I was like, Elizabeth really didn't do much. She wrestled. I don't think a lot of people knew that she was. I think she was a wrestler. Yeah. And then she got with Macho Man, but she didn't really go anywhere else. But then I was like, well, there was Sherry, and Sherry made almost everybody she was around, man. So that was a good one. The reason why I said Fuji because I hated Master Fuji. Every time I saw him, I just hated him.
With Yokozuna.
Yeah, with Demolition.
And I was a big Demolition fan. I like Demolition more than LOD. I just like that.
Really?
Yeah, I like that because they would just come in and they would just beat you up.
Yeah.
Right? They would just beat you up, beat you down, and then they tag out and then do it again. Right?
Yeah.
So I love that.
To our people watching at home, make sure you go on YouTube, watch the Fuji Vice with Don Morocco. Oh my God.
Stuff.
I remember that.
Before I get to mine, Dennis Reaper chimed in to me before. Well, a lot of us probably saw it already before the show, and he actually had 5 on his. He had Bobby Heenan, Paul Heyman, Paul Bearer, J.J. Dillon of the Four Horsemen, and he also mentioned Vicky Guerrero.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was his. For me personally, as everyone else,
Heenan,
exactly. Heyman,
the brain.
Heyman's right there with them.
He is.
I was a big fan of.
Can I ask you something about Heenan?
Yeah.
How come he gave up managing when he went to WCW?
Well,
Why do you think that? Or do you know?
Well, he also had, he was also a broadcast journalist, so they probably brought him in just to do commentary.
He
Plus,
also had very legit neck injuries.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah.
Go, I was just jump. I was about to jump on that. He had neck problems too. My third is Gary Hart.
Gary Hart, Playboy.
Gary Hart.
That's before my time.
I loved when he.
I gotta Google it.
I love when he managed the Great Kabuki as well as the Great Muda.
Are you gonna say General Skandar Akbar as your fourth?
No,
that would have been great. Gary Hart and Skandar Akbar.
And I'm gonna have to be biased here on this last one. I'm gonna have to go with my trainer, which is the godfather of professional wrestling, Damian Kane. He managed guys like Abdul the Butcher, DC Mad Dog Drake, a lot of these great indies tag teams.
Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, DCW, yeah.
Exactly. And Paul Heyman was right there by his side, and pretty much, even though Paul Heyman has a story of how he got started in the business, he was there by Damian's side transcended from a regular interviewer, commentator into the managerial role. If you go back and watch,
who was Damian? Was it Vanessa? Who was the girl that was with Damian King?
Lady Alexander.
Okay,
that was his wife. They're not married.
Yeah.
They're not married right now.
I remember.
I'm very biased because like I said, I have to go to that, and I look back of who he managed on the indies, and then that same knowledge of the people that he surrounded him with. And like I said, flowed into guys like Paul Heyman. I'm like, and I soak it in. Even guys like J.J. Dillon, like what Dennis, I would have him on my top there as well, but I had to slip Damian in there. Otherwise, J.J. would be there on the. I'm like, I love J.J. I got to work with him several times. He's a great guy to talk with. He actually went to school in my area.
Could you imagine being a manager on an independent show? And the promoter goes, "Oh, we're gonna fly in Abdullah. You're gonna manage him for the night. Okay, we're gonna fly in Terry Funk. Yeah. You're gonna manage him for okay."
Yeah.
It was some great stuff, and a lot of the, I'm sure you all can agree with me. A lot of the best managers who cross the all borders were all former wrestlers. They all had something, but one in particular that wasn't a wrestler, who I love, but even though he's not on my top, is Teddy Long.
Yes.
He started as ring
Peanut
crew.
Head.
Yeah, started as ring crew. Then he was a referee.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, he's managing Doom.
Yeah. Well, it's Skyscrapers. Because he screwed over the Road Warriors, right? Then they brought in the Skyscrapers, Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious. Don't Call Me Peanut Head, Theodore R. Long. And then I'll tell you what, though, back in the day, with Doom, you had that fall of 1990 when Doom battled the Horsemen and Ric Flair beat, I think it was Butch Reed on Clash, and Teddy Long was his chauffeur for the day. Oh, man. And then it's just good stuff. And you're right. This guy's probably 90 pounds soaking wet, but man, could he talk, and he had the look, and it wasn't him. It was his men. He put all the focus on his talent. So yeah, that's a great mention.
Holla at your player.
We're gonna make this a triple threat.
And for him doing that, it shows that someone who actually did started on the bottom. You're live on TV. They're looking at you as ring crew and this and that, blah blah blah. And then you got guys like the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
He was a musician.
Yeah.
Or still is.
He was responsible for a lot of the theme songs.
Yeah. And pretty much, to me, that's like, I guess, his niche into the wrestling. I don't know the whole story behind him, but I know he prior he was a musician and then transcended into
he wrote half the songs on the original wrestling album, and I think he wrote like 7 or 8 songs on the Pile Driver album. And he had contacts, he had musical contacts that really put. Yeah,
didn't he do Girls in Cars?
Girls in Cars. Was that for Young Stallions or was that for Strike Force? I forget who it was for. Girls in Cars was, I think,
might have been the Young Stallions.
Yeah,
I'm not
Young
sure.
Stallions.
It's one of them too. Oh man. But
Me and Chuck looking at each other like, what?
Yeah. I
really
know the mouth of South Jimmy Hart.
we're not old enough.
You got me at Jimmy Hart, and that was it. Who was on the Young Stallions? Because that name does sound familiar.
Paul Roma and Jim Powers.
Okay.
Paul
Okay.
Roma.
I know who Powers is. Paul
Roma actually formed a team with Hercules Hernandez.
Yeah,
Power and Glory.
Power and Glory. That's
Yeah.
why I know who Powers is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that.
One of my favorites.
Who was there? Hold on. Was that Heenan? Who was there? Who was their manager? They had a manager.
Wasn't it Slick?
Who's that? Slick. It was
Yeah,
Slick.
Slick.
It was
Yeah.
Slick with
Yeah,
Power and Glory.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Now after this, you're gonna go back and look up some Power and Glory
Yeah.
matches.
No, I know, because I remember it was one of the best finishing moves.
Yes, the suplex.
This is suplex and
it's
it's splash. I remember. Come on, man.
it's called-
I'm
It was
young.
called the Powerplex.
I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid, man. I remember that. I was a
Yeah.
great finisher.
Hey, we could have been watching Frankie Frizzo in WWE, but
Who's that?
that's
He's not here there.
Who's Frank? He's not here. I'm not
Frankie Frizzo.
Who is that guy? Frankie, I need another coffee.
Frankie Frizzo's checking in. He's saying, go one-on-one with The Undertaker, playa Teddy Long.
All right, our guy, Bobby the Brain.
Yes.
yes, he was great.
Some of the, I say he had to had the best. I'm not gonna say a legit stable. It was more like his stable was scattered through.
Yes.
It was scattered through across the
The
board.
Heenan
You had-
family,
yeah,
right?
it was like people from different backgrounds,
Yep.
sizes, this and that. No one. It's not like one particular group. Like let's say the Horsemen. Everyone's like in business suits. Everyone's like the arrogant elite guys.
Yeah, they were all
this and that.
pros. Like if you look at
Yeah.
all the list of names, they were all pros. I'm trying to think. I mean, the things that hit my head, obviously Ric Flair, the Horseman, Rude. He walked with Perfect. Who else did he?
Another
Was it Andre? Was he with Andre for a
Yeah,
little bit?
Andre.
Yeah, so that,
Andre Haku as the Colossal Connection.
Yes.
That was like one of my
Yeah.
favorite tag teams. And I mentioned before here, Andre the guinea pig at home. He's listening, hopefully,
Okay.
because he actually looked. He had the colors just like Andre, the way he crossed over like the strap,
This-
and he was the biggest one. So, like I said, I
Yeah.
named him Andre. I'm trying to find a one that kind of resembles Haku. But I'm having a hard time.
you talking about the guinea pig, right?
Yeah.
I was about to say, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm trying to for at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bobby Heenan was one of the greatest broadcast journalists.
Yep.
Stuff comes off the top of his head like crazy.
Yeah.
Just like Jerry the King Lawler, the way he's on comedy. That's how Bobby was.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Bobby started out as a wrestler himself.
yes,
You
he did
know,
in Los
and-
Angeles.
And then as time went on, it just showed that his mouthpiece and that didn't start managing. Who was he managing?
Nick Bockwinkel and Ray
that was the tag
Stevens.
team, yeah.
And Nick Bockwinkel had the personality of a fly, and you put Bobby Heenan with him, and automatically Nick Bockwinkel was higher up the ladder. He was already AWA World Champion, but you put a mouthpiece like Bobby Heenan on there, and I'll tell you somebody, my favorite wrestler of all time, I might get made fun of for this, is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
Yeah, I used to love Orndorff.
And when Hogan, when Hogan did not take his phone call for
Yeah.
training against Bundy and Stud, Orndorff went back to Heenan. And back in the late 80s, the managers did not always travel, well, unless Elizabeth, of course, but that's another story. The managers did not always travel with their charges, but Bobby Heenan was always there for those Orndorff Hogan matches. And you touched upon earlier Andre the Giant. I really feel that there's a lot of the fan base back in the 80s who would have cheered Andre over Hogan had Bobby Heenan not been with Andre. I think putting Heenan with Andre solidified that Andre was a bad guy. But I really think the way that Andre turned on Hogan, ripping the shirt off his chest, demanding that world title match, if you take Heenan away from that, I think a lot of fans would say, yeah, he's right. He deserves a world title match. But you put Bobby Heenan there, and it's evil. It's not just,
Yeah.
I have to disagree.
Oh, come on now.
Because the fan base back then was more really, really PG, and they literally seen the black and white of bad guy, good guy. And for him to do that, the Hogan, the champion, everyone's gonna be like, oh, he's bad guy now.
Yeah,
but if they did it
if
nowadays,
you take Keenan away, let's just say Andre comes.
no, I'm saying
You
that.
never give me title match, brother.
Yes, I'm saying that if Heenan wasn't there, people will still look at the whole black and white situation of, oh, he did it to Hogan. he's a bad guy instantly. Now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where the fans. Now, if you do that today, without Heenan in the picture, people would probably cheer for Andre like crazy. It's just the way the fans evolved from back then, their way of thinking.
I guess I don't agree with you, but
No.
we'll
We agree we agree to disagree. We'll leave
Let
it
me
at
ask you a
that.
question: who was the bad guy between Hogan and Savage?
Well, that was
What, when the mega powers explode?
that was obviously
Hogan. That was obviously Hogan was the bad guy.
I heard the theory on that where you
Okay.
have lust in your eyes for Elizabeth.
Hey, man. I mean, I'm just
know.
saying your line of thinking with Andre and Hogan is kind of off base.
I can agree with you there because I see.
To me, Macho Man.
What? Listen, man, do you want Hulk Hogan going after your wife?
No, but still.
He's probably thinking, man, he's bigger than me. He's like, here, honey. That's Hogan, by the way. Get those panties autographed.
But
for me.
Macho Man had some of the best promos, man.
Oh, yes, no
The
doubt.
cream of the crop. We mentioned, that New Jack had passed away, but Macho Man this was a 10-year anniversary for his death.
Oh, man.
Was this week, so.
Oh, wow.
Didn't even realize
Bad day.
that.
Yeah, I didn't
God bless
know
you,
that.
Macho Man.
So, well, what you were saying about Macho Man, I think it makes it look like Macho Man because then he went with Sherry after that, right?
Yeah.
So the character evolved to the heel that
And-
we know him
And
so known
Sherry, oh my God, she had her hands in so many cookie jars of making stars. Well, even if stars were there, she was the supporting actor. She was
Mhm.
Queen Sherry, like you mentioned. Harlem Heat, how she raised the bar
Yep.
for them.
for. Mm-hmm.
Oh, she did so much, and then just to see that little confrontation between her and Elizabeth, and
Yeah.
Elizabeth coming in to save her man.
WrestleMania 7, yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm.
Oh man, Sherry been all over the place, women's champion, and like how I said, a lot of great managers were former
Yes.
wrestlers.
Absolutely.
What's some of the guys that you know that who wasn't a wrestler who became managers?
Oh, man.
Yeah,
It's not that
Put
hard.
me on the spot.
Yeah.
The biggest one right now,
Well,
Paul-
Heyman.
Paul
Paul
Heyman. Paul
Heyman.
Heyman.
Yeah.
Paul
right
Heyman, yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can go right there. I'm like I said, he started out as a photographer.
Yep.
He got in. He had that Studio 64 show. He did. He advertised when he had Bam Bam Bigelow there and stuff.
I remember Bam Bam.
I guess he was trying to get Ric Flair there.
Wasn't it Studio 54?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then from there he just started transcending. Being in the locker rooms, taking pictures, sitting in, just listening to guys like Dusty and the whole thing with the the NWF where he was there with Damien, and then slowly it progressed, and then when I started seeing him for the first time in WCW, I'm not sure if it was still NWA or not, or if it was WCW.
It was NWA.
But when he started feuding with Jim Cornette,
the original Midnight Express.
oh yes, with the two Midnight Express clash, all that was great, and he had that brick of a telephone.
Mhm.
Oh my God,
I'm like,
yes.
I wonder how many of them he went through because he literally busted them over people's heads.
Which, by the way, was a cordless phone. No, you weren't fooling anybody by saying that was a cell phone. It was a cordless phone, but nonetheless.
He might be the greatest person to ever pick up a mic. in wrestling.
Yes, I mean, he's up there.
Wrestling, bomb wrestling. I mean, Flair's up there. Piper's up there.
Yeah.
Dusty's up there. The Rock's up there. Austin wasn't too shabby. But-
Goldberg. I like Goldberg.
That was a joke, right?
All right, that was a joke, right?
Get out.
I just
Get out.
stopped.
Come on.
Was that
Uh,
a serious?
Pat, Frankie Frizzo, your
Did you just
brother's
say
on.
Goldberg?
Come on, man. He had
Yeah.
the
Are you
following.
serious?
He's
On
off the
mic.
panel.
Come
On the
on,
mic?
Come on, he had the following.
He still sucks.
No, come on. Not in the
You
early.
must
They
be a
got him
Goldberg
over.
fan.
I was.
Yeah,
back in the
okay,
day,
okay.
I
Okay.
used to like him better. I used to think it was between him and Austin.
I
Think
think
of
I'd
it
rather
like
listen to Ryback.
Think of it like this,
Goldberg.
though. Cheesesteak Chuckie. Think of it like this. You got Rowdy Roddy Piper versus Goldberg on the mic.
Oh, my
You know
God.
what I mean? Like that's like Rowdy Piper That's Piper. I think.
Well,
is one
I
of
guess he had the
best on
one
mic.
signature saying "You're next." That was it.
Nah, it was
Yeah, we need more
dumb.
than
How's that Piper?
that. We need more than you're next.
Come on, man. I'm not above the controversies. I go after Ben Simmons all the time. So
Coley
How's
Goldberg-
that Piper line goes? You don't throw rocks at a man with a machine gun.
Did you guys see his bio? Did you see?
Oh,
that?
it was
Bio?
great.
Great.
Much better than the Savage one was. Savage was like a hit job, you know.
I didn't see Savage's one.
Yeah, take a look at that on
I
demand.
didn't see that yet
I didn't see,
either.
but Piper's was really good. I didn't know he was a tough guy like that.
Mhm.
You know, I knew he was a tough guy like that. So, yeah, man, he was a beast. He was a beast.
Now, I want to touch on one of the greats that Dennis chimed in about, Vicky Guerrero.
I don't see it.
yeah, I don't see
Yeah.
it either.
No,
No,
you're not
Nope.
going to agree with Dennis.
no.
Nah, sorry.
Dennis.
I don't know Dennis, so maybe it's easier for me to disagree with him. But nah.
No.
He literally said that
It's too short of a career, too.
she made you hate her with that voice.
Oh yeah, well that's true.
Excuse me.
That's
Yeah.
a character though.
Yeah,
That's more of a
exactly.
character than a manager.
But then she started managing. Though you see, well, I'm not gonna say
Edge was already
I'm
made
not gonna
when she
say
got
that.
there.
I'm not gonna say the AEW stuff. But when she started managing, well, like you said, Edge, yeah, and like she transcended with a lot of the women, or a lot of the undercard guys. When you see like Dolph Ziggler, he wasn't really doing anything at first. They paired them up where she was the GM too at the same time. So it was a manager GM role. So for the help start pushing Ziggler. Then there was one other guy. I cannot remember his name. He was there for a short bit, and he was another love interest that they spawned on her. Man. See, right there. You're
Sorry.
drawing a blank too, so he must have not been that
must
great.
not have been that big.
I
that
remember there was,
important.
I think it was a Spanish dude or something, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't
And then they were all love interests too. It was
Yes,
the same thing. It was the
exactly.
same
Yeah.
repeat. And then
Yeah.
she's like, it's like you like this is the great Eddie Guerrero's wife, and she's like making out with all these dudes.
I
It's just
think-
like,
I think if Dennis was here, he can defend his case.
No, I don't think so. Nope.
No.
So right here, for the next show when we get back here, we'll let Dennis open up pleading his case for
Vicky.
for Vicky.
yeah, I'll see if I
Yeah.
can I can see if I can find a soundbite for that opening.
Yes.
For every time Dennis talks.
Excuse me. Dennis, you heard that. That's your thing now. Gary Hart, someone who I love. You said you're not familiar with
I'm
him.
Me
not-
neither.
I'm not.
Please, if you're not, look him up.
Yeah.
Um,
One of my favorite Gary Hart teams was, of course, he was always the foil for the Von Erichs. So him managing Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez as the dynamic duo was huge. But he would always kind of go back and forth. You know, back in the time, World Class was associated with the NWA.
yes.
So he was managing, I think, Don Kernodle and Ivan Koloff while also managing in World Class. So like he would manage Abdullah. He would manage all the monsters who would face the Von Erichs and Bruiser Brody and all those guys. But he really kind of solidified himself when he moved back to Crockett, managed Al Perez, Ron Garvin, and then in 89 with the Great Muta. The Great Muta was probably, 89 was probably his best year
Yes.
in my memory, managing J-Tex Corporation with Muta and Funk. And then, of course, later on, Dick Slater and Dragon Master.
I think what gave him the key role of them putting him with Muda was his years with Kabuki.
Yeah.
Then after Muda and Kabuki, he was working with MLW, and like this performer, he's not Asian as far as I know, but they put him with Low Key, and he was, I'm like, Low Key on his own just kills it, but then having him there and doing the same, like his style when you watch Key and he drops those elbows and stuff, it's like homage to Muda and stuff. But yeah, but you're right. When he was paired up with Muda was some of the best years, especially when they did the run with their feud with Sting.
Oh, yeah. Sting and Flair.
Oh
yeah.
man. We can go on and on and on with different other marriages. Now, some of the other marriages that you guys talked about, okay, we said Heyman, we all agreed on. We all talked about Heenan. You mentioned Paul Bearer. There you go. But Paul Bearer only in WWE. It was only Undertaker and Kane. But before
Mankind.
okay. But prior to that, he was Percy Pringle.
Percy Pringle.
Another
foil for the Von Erichs.
and with your knowledge of experience, I'm sure you can probably incite us more better than what I can.
Well, Percy Pringle managed Ravishing Rick Rude back in '85. He was a former world-class champion before Rick Rude kind of took off to a major platform in the NWA. Percy Pringle managed Rick Rude. He managed, I think he managed Dingo Warrior, who was the Ultimate Warrior back when he was a heel in world class. So yeah,
he was a heel.
Oh yeah,
Man.
he was a Dingo Warrior in '86. Yeah,
Was it good?
Was he a good wrestler?
No, good. No.
I was gonna say because he was never a good wrestler.
Yeah, a good heel. Was it a good heel?
No,
he was just a big guy who's massive,
Yeah.
paint on his face.
Okay.
Pound people.
Yep.
But before,
I would love to see a warrior heel.
Oh,
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's
before
crazy. That'd be great.
Dingo Warrior, before he was Dingo Warrior, he was known as Rock.
Yeah, part
And
of
he
the
The
Blade Runners.
Yeah, he
Yep.
teamed with Sting. It was Sting and Rock.
I know that. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen them
Then
too.
okay.
I didn't see the in between though. I didn't know he played a heel, but
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen him and Sting together. I've seen that. Yeah. So Pringle. So when Paul Bear, obviously the voice now changed. So how was he?
Yes.
Yeah. So how was he back in the day before with Rick?
Similar.
Rude, you know?
Oh yes.
Oh really? So he didn't change
It
it.
wasn't as eerie. Yeah, it was. But he was still high pitched.
Yeah.
Didn't he manage someone, or was it him? They did the gimmick where they threw the hot coffee in the face.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
It was either him or someone he managed threw hot coffee in someone who was doing commentary's face. Supposedly hot coffee is probably just black,
Yeah.
it's cold, or whatever. but yeah, that was like one of the best ones. Like because you never saw it. You seen stuff like once in a while. You seen the whole fireball stuff where some managers did that. Then you see wrestlers who do the whole fireball, and some were better than others. Like the Hogan botched his fireball with Warrior, and
They all can't be Eddie Gilbert.
and he burned him, and he burned himself.
Yeah. I'm with the Paul Bear thing. I'm actually not agreeing with the Paul Bear thing, just because you got to manage the Undertaker, and you got to do it for as long as you could. As long 10, 15 years, and then the story evolved still around the Undertaker. You went from the Undertaker, and then you went to Kane. Similar. You went then from Undertaker to Mankind. Similar, somewhat. It's hard to say similar characters because the Taker is Taker, right?
Yeah.
But when you have the greatest character that's ever been done, ever been made, and you manage that for over a decade, does that automatically just put you in the hall?
Oh no, I agree with you. I think having Paul Bearer on the Mount Rushmore of managers is like saying Goldberg's good on the mic. So
I'm still repeating that in my head too. I was waiting for my time to drop that when you asked me a question. But you beat me to it.
We're making a list here right now between him saying Goldberg on the mic
That was
and
incredible.
Dennis putting Vicky Guerrero up there. We're doing pretty good here for another
We
show.
got to get them two on the show
together.
Yeah.
together.
And they can just talk with each other.
Yeah.
Another guy.
What about current managers? What are you guys thinking with the current?
Well, I want to touch on Slick again.
Okay.
But
yes, please.
because we only made a couple comments.
Yeah.
But Slick, you said out there with Akeem. I loved
Him and the Big Boss Man.
Yes, when they were together.
Yeah.
I love the Twin Towers. That was like one of my favorites out there. And then when they're doing the vignette and he's cutting the promo, my man, the African Dream, Akeem. He coming from the deepest part of, and then you see this big white guy coming out. I'm like,
right, that's the king. The big white guy.
I'm like, that's one man gang. What the?
He's from South Africa, y'all.
That's like, okay, that's like seeing him coming out like that, and then years later you see the promo where Triple H goes, the Kofi, ain't you supposed to be Jamaican? Yeah, because he dropped his accent by accident. Yeah. So we get swerved all the time on these. Well, not all the time. Depends on if you know it or not. If they're ethnic C.
Yeah, you can fight me on Slick, and I get it. But for me,
I'm not. I'm definitely not.
For me, it's just that I'm in general. But because I think you could argue somebody else over Slick. But for me, it's just that was the first thing I saw. Right? As a kid, that was one of the first. Like I remember seeing Junkyard Dog, but I didn't grow up watching Junkyard Dog. But I just knew like he was at the tail end, and when I saw him, so I didn't really. I'm trying to think at that time. But he never got the shine, but what's his name? Was it Bad News Brown?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so he was another black
So
wrestler.
let me ask you a question.
And he was Canadian.
Was he Canadian?
Yeah,
I didn't know
David
that.
Brown was. I have a question because this is a racial kind of question. So growing up watching Slick, you've seen somebody on TV who's in a position of power, and he looks like me. He's a black guy on TV.
Right.
What did you think about the fact that they made him a pimp and not just a strong?
Well, I was just so young.
Yeah. So
I saw him in the suits and the GIF hat, and I saw him dancing. I'm like saying jive this and that. You know what I mean? Using the slang back in those days. So to me, it just drew me to him. You know what I mean? Because you didn't see that many, black folks wrestling there.
Right.
And like I said, Bad News Bear, Coco Beware was kind of stupid, kind of
Junkyard Dog was past his prime at that time. Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of anybody else that was anything big. And I don't really, the closest thing to having anything dark skin was like, Haku the Samoans.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
And then to tie in what Chio said, Teddy Long, I think some of his character was based off of Slick,
Yeah, for sure.
Some of that,
for sure.
And then you had the Ron Simmons, the Butch Reeds, and
Yeah.
the less goofy black characters, the more in your face, I'm going to beat your ass.
Yeah.
I think back then, stereotypes of wrestlers and managers or whatever were more acceptable then.
Oh, for sure.
More.
For sure. I mean, you're looking at what was the stable, right? What was at the top? It was Flair.
Yeah.
It was Flair. So you had to look Dusty Rhodes even came out. No, actually, no, I'm sorry. Flair actually, I'm sorry, it's wrong. Flair actually copied Dusty, if I'm not mistaken, because Dusty used to come out in robes with the blonde hair.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to think, and I was just trying to think, I don't remember them really pushing any, diversity back in those times, and that was just, those times, and not a lot of black kids, grew up wanted to be wrestlers. You're seeing that now, right? You're seeing that trickle down now, and that's catching up
because
now.
You have a lot more of minorities who's like literally out there on fire, showing other people up.
Right, absolutely. So back in the day when I watched, it was Demolition for me. It was Warrior. It was Rude. It was Perfect. It was Flair. And like I said, Bad News Brown is really the only because I'm trying to. I can't think of any other black wrestlers.
Zeus.
Yeah.
He was a badass, right?
Yeah.
He was famous for that movie.
Junkyard
Remember that
Dog?
movie?
Yeah. Well, Junkyard Dog was past. I saw him at the end, but I'm just trying to think. Coco Beware was okay, but he was, he was for the kids. But he none of them were stars.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? None of them were in that echelon of stars.
Rocky Johnson.
Yeah, but
it
he
was
was
before
past
me.
his prime.
It was before me.
Yeah.
It was before me. I didn't know about.
Wait, you had Rock. You got Rock.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
You were mentioning current managers in the state. Some years ago, I used to follow a lot of the indies really significantly because that was just me. But the older I get, family, work gets involved, so I really don't have too much time to pay attention to a lot of them. But I still have some in my head that I actually do come across once in a while at shows nowadays. Who are some of your current managers? Maybe not in WWE and stuff or where are the big times, but on the indie circuit around our area, maybe here in the Northeast.
Well, the indie circuit, I'm going to kind of be off with. I'm not too familiar. I have not watched indie wrestling probably in the last 3 or 4 years.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm probably the wrong person to go to.
I think I'm more caught up than you are.
The indie stuff, but I will mention in AEW, they're still
Guerrero, she's there.
No. They're still trying to find the perfect blend of old school and new school. And you have Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson from the old school who are now managers of the new school.
All right.
But in indie wrestling,
who are the managers now? Who are your top managers right now currently?
Well, it has to be Heyman, right?
Heyman's there, obviously.
Yeah.
I would say MVP. I consider him a manager.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be very biased on this here. Well, Heyman, obviously, MVP. Since we always talk about him, he's there. Especially, wish they didn't get rid of the Hurt Business because that was money right there.
It was. What? I'm sorry. I'm jumping around. I know Bob gave us a time period. Why did they break that up? You think?
Because they're stupid.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Yeah, I mean, Alexander is. I think he's talent.
Yeah,
right. He's talent, and then you got the old vet,
Benjamin, yeah.
with Benjamin, but it worked.
Yes.
It worked, and then they started feuding,
they
and
killed it.
they literally killed it.
I
They
think
literally
what they
killed
should have
it.
done, what they should have. We asked in the beginning of the show, what about Ricochet? Well,
Yeah.
you add to the Hurt business.
Yeah.
You
Or you add
Bro.
another big monster.
yeah.
Bro,
Uh,
I want who did I say I wanted them to get, man,
Well,
into that stable? Because when it was the stable, when it was the Hurt business, they were talking to somebody else, and I forget who it was, that made sense to grab. Maybe it was Ricochet. He could have used that. He could have used that in being in the Hurt business. It would have took him, I think, to that kind of intercontinental. No. It was Apollo Crews.
Yeah,
it was
yes,
Apollo
but now he's
Crews.
doing his thing.
Well,
Yeah.
so
He's doing his thing now, but I think it would have got there just the same way if he would have been in the Hurt business. I love that they let him run, because that was, from what I'm hearing, I didn't see him in Indies, but that was his Indies gimmick. Like
the Coming to America gimmick as a,
the Nigerian,
Nation.
yeah.
Going off of what you said with the AEW managers, I like Tully Blanchard, what he's doing.
Mhm.
Not so much Arn, really. If it had to be Arn, I would rather see Arn with FTR.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that would
But Tully, he's killing it. He's killing it. What he's
and
doing.
he's still great on the mic. He's so great promo.
I am like I said, biased. I have to go with Robert Stone with the Robert Stone brand in NXT. Out here on the Indies, I have to say one of the good friends of ours, Corey Cross.
Okay.
I like when you meet the guy, when you just physically look at him, he doesn't come off as a wrestling manager, but when you talk to him and you see him on his mic skills and the way he delivers ideas and stuff, it just comes out and blows your mind away. He's one of the good ones out there, and he's a student where he studies everything. That's someone I love having conversations with.
Nice.
I'm like, you can really get into good. I would love to have him here on the show. Another guy,
Put it out there. Put it in the universe.
another guy, Maven Bentley. He used to be part of I guess Combat Zone and Maven the NBA, I believe it was. He's a brother, very educated, well spoken. You know, he goes to the ring, but he's suited up. He's there as a manager.
A lot of them are doing that too.
Professional.
Right.
I'm gonna say me. No,
No,
because honestly, I managed at one point for about maybe 5, 6, 7 years after I got hurt and I stopped wrestling. And I said how it worked out for me because, transcending from being an active wrestler, you're already in that entertainment mode where you know how to relate to the fans, you know how to relate to the characters and stuff. And right now I'm in the process of where I'm currently trying to rebuild and rebrand myself, because I can see myself jumping back into a managerial role. And right now I'm already marketing ideas of the name of a group, t-shirt logos and stuff like that. But I need to find the right group of guys, because the main guy I had that I was managing all the time, he actually he's on his way to move down to Texas probably within the next year, so he ain't going to be around. So I'm looking at a lot of young
better taxes down there.
I'm
FWE's down there too.
Chio, I think I talked to you on Facebook about managers at one point about a month ago, and I pretty much said that they just, it works so well in the 80s and 90s, and I feel like they got away from it. Either the talent level's not there, or they just don't work them into the storylines. Yeah. Which is that?
A lot of talent.
It frustrates me.
There are some of the managers who just don't know how to talk. They're just there because hey, this guy's my buddy. He got me on the show. I'm his manager, and then they manage this guy everywhere because they're riding that person's coattail. A lot of times you got to have the experience and the knowledge. Some of them have the knowledge by where they grew up watching it. It's just the fact that they try to copy what they saw or seen. There's a couple times where I tried to do a throwback as far as shunning the crowd, go stand in front of the ring like the old school, like in the Hamburg Fieldhouse, where you stand in front and everything else behind you was the background. The camera's on the floor. You got the ring behind you. And I started incorporating some of that once in a while there too. I was sporting the suits. Every time I try to do a different kind of old school tactic, whether it's something out of my pocket, a roll of quarters, a shoe coming off, smacking in the back of the head, anything managerial. But at first, when I started, I was going to be one of those managers who didn't hide behind the wrestlers. If it needs to be, I was going to be one of the managers who stepped up as a leader and got involved. But then as time went on, I thought to myself, it's not about me. It's about the guys there. I'm helping promote them, get them over. I need to fall back, take my shots like everyone else. I'm the heel doing dastardly things. Babies get their hands on me, beat the piss out of me. The crowd pops. And that's the thing. When I got a little old lady at ringside swinging her cane at me and stuff like that, that's great. I know I'm doing my job. A little kid should not be cursing me off, but if he is, hey, great. I'm doing my job. You know, any way I can get them not only to hate me just because of my verbal mouth, but without doing the same cliche of cursing, saying the same stuff like shut up, or just the key things that make the crowd hate you, where like you hear a lot of them say, shut up, if you keep chanting that, I'm going to leave. That's the classic thing. You need to think off the top of your head, come up with something differently. Oh, hey, you're fat. Hey, you're ugly. You can't use that no more. It's like, it's in one ear, out the other. The fans don't buy into that, except for maybe the really little kids. But
I got the one that's going to work for you.
But when I'm on a PG show or something like that, that's the ones I would bring out to the little kids or the little old ladies and stuff like that, where that's going to trigger them. That's gonna hate you more. The regular fans, as far as like the parents that are like maybe mid-20s and up a little bit, they're not gonna see into it, but they're just gonna skip like, yeah, okay, whatever.
You want some heat? You want to get some heat as a manager? This is all you gotta say. That Goldberg.
Yeah,
was great on the microphone.
That was hard. Sorry.
That's all you gotta say.
I'm going home.
I needed to drop it somewhere. It was still in my head. I'm still in my head. I had to drop it somewhere.
Do you really? How good do you think on a scale of 10, Rowdy Piper to Bill Goldberg?
Rowdy Piper is it better?
I think.
Well, no, but
I think if Rowdy Piper transcended into managerial, he'll be one of the best. He was. No, I mean legitimately, if he was just straight, like from wrestling, just straight did manager afterwards, he would have killed it.
Yeah,
he had too much pride. You know what I mean?
Chio, I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a line to use that's going to get you heat in 2021. Okay, I'm going to. This is free. I believe in you. Because I guarantee you say that to anybody, they think, go F yourself. Go, screw you. Nobody wants to hear good stuff today. They want to hear the stuff that you were saying. You're fat, you're out of shape. And then I am. But you tell somebody that you believe in them, instant heat.
I got something that probably piss a lot of people off. Like I'll tell them, wear your mask.
There you go.
Build back better. And what? I'm sorry, but I don't know how political you guys are.
Say anything Trump and you're hated.
Newsflash, just so you guys are the ones out there who are unaware or still living in their mom's basement, Trump lost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Biden stole the election, bitches.
Mic drop.
All right. How much time we got here left on the show? I'm sure we're killing. We're probably going over.
We're pushing up against it for sure.
We've got 1-2 minutes.
Yeah, we got a minute and a half.
All right. So what we're gonna do?
1-2 minutes. Yeah, a minute and 15.
That's gonna cover all of Goldberg's classic promos.
That's right.
Ready and go. Done. All right.
I have them. I looked them up. I have them all right here.
It's 2.5 minutes,
all
right?
2 of them.
Yeah, don't play them.
Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming on the show today. It is very enjoyable. Like I said, we do get off track, but we rein it back in once in a while. That's the fun part of a freestyle podcast here on Breakfast and Body Slams. For Nate Moss, Chuck, Mark, I'm Chio. One more shout out to everyone. Tune into Crack Bell Productions on CB Pro Live. You can watch all the shows on there. Scroll down. You don't have to just watch us. Watch everyone else as well. Once again, The Gobbler Inc. every other Sunday, 9 a.m. The Sullivan Squad every other Sunday, 9 a.m. Breakfast and BodySlams once a month. So tune in. Try to check out our calendar at 10 a.m. and Devereaux Sports Plus once a month on Mondays at 6 p.m. And if you want to know more information about Breakfast and BodySlams, I just happened last night to start a Breakfast and BodySlams podcast Facebook page. So you guys can look it up there. We'll try to advertise everything. We will reshare everything off of CBBO Pro Live from everyone at Crack Bell Productions and Devereaux Podcast. I'm Chio, and enjoy your weekend.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.